I'd like to call the Plan Commission meeting to order for Monday, February 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Cronin,
Here.
Pincinel,
Present.
Weston,
Yes.
Arndt,
Yes.
Yes.
Jordan,
Here.
Mumper.
Here. All right, moving along, public comments. Is there anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment on anything that we've got going on here tonight? Second time, anybody online or in the audience? Third time, anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment? Hearing none, I have a form here for, it's the first project, but I'll leave that when we get there under comments. Item number 3, minutes from January 8th, 2023 PC meeting.
Move to confirm.
Second.
Motion by Jordan, second by Gurnt. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So carried. Communications, disclosures, and recusals. Members of the body should make any required disclosures or recusals during this time. Do we have any? All right, hearing none, we'll move to item number 4, written communications received. I have one. This is from Lee Presley. It was received Thursday, February 8th, 2024 by Valerie Parker in regards to project number 2024-0011. It says, "Hi Valerie, writing with regard to project number 2024-0011, the conditional use permit request and proposed greenhouse construction at 3004 Hampton. We are not able to attend the hearing on the 12th, but would like to convey our support for their application. As neighbors to the north, we see no issue with the proposed greenhouse construction. We haven't experienced any negative impacts from the Tao's current gardening operations and don't expect that any will result from the greenhouse project. Lee Presley and Mike Wanzerski, 2501 Murat Lane." All right, public hearings. Zoning map and text amendments, conditional uses and related requests. Project number 2024-0011. Nia Long Tao, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. 3004 Hampton Avenue, Wausau, Wisconsin, 54403. Requesting a conditional use permit at 3004 Hampton Avenue to allow an agricultural use in the RR2 Rural Residential 2-acre zoning district. I'll open the public hearing. Presentation by applicant and or staff.
Yeah, so Mr. Tao would like to construct a 34 by 96 greenhouse on their property. The greenhouse will cover an existing area that they currently farm for growing food for personal use. The USDA is offering them a grant for the greenhouse, so it's kind of a unique opportunity. That site plan there shows where the proposed greenhouse would be. Where that currently sits, it does meet all applicable setbacks to the RR2 zoning district, and it's got to meet principal building setbacks, being that it's over 2,000 square feet in the primary or the principal building for the agricultural use. Mr. Tao is in attendance if you have any further questions for him, but the agricultural use is just for growing personal food. There won't be any farm animals involved. But it should be pretty straightforward.
Okay, do you have anything you'd like to add, Mr. Tao? No? Okay. Public comment period. I have one, and this is from Alphonse Dreschler, 4209 East Raybell Drive, Weston. He did not wish to make an oral statement, but he just said too big of a greenhouse and it's a messy property. That's all that he has written here. Any other public comments on this?
Sure. Dan Higginbotham, 2625 Northwestern Avenue. We walk our dog near these folks, past these folks' place almost daily, and they're very hardworking, very industrious, and there might be a spare tractor or something sitting around. But, they've done a really nice job with the property, so I'm sure they'll continue to do a nice job with the greenhouse.
Thank you, Dan. Any other public comments on item number 5? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Recommendation from staff.
Staff recommends approval.
And discussion and action by the plan commission.
I just have one quick question. Is this supposed to be for personal use?
Correct.
And it's how big?
It is 34 by 96. It's about
3,200 square feet, 3,300.
So I was trying to calculate how much that is. Okay. It's large, but like you said, that's all my only question. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Otherwise, if there's nothing else, we can go through the qualifications or the determinations, I should say. Is that what we'd like to do?
Yep.
Alrighty. Item number 1 is the proposed conditional use consistent with the comprehensive plan, this chapter, and all other plans, programs, and ordinances adopted by the village.
Yes.
Yes.
2, the proposed conditional use in its proposed location and as depicted on the required site plan will not result in a substantial or undue adverse impact on nearby property, the character of the neighborhood, environmental factors, traffic factors, parking, public improvements, public property or rights of way, or other matters affecting the public health, safety, or general welfare, either as they now exist or as they may in the future be developed as a result of the implementation of the provisions of this chapter, the comprehensive plan, or all other plans, programs, and ordinances adopted by the village.
Yes.
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 Does the proposed conditional use maintain the desired consistency of land uses, land use intensities, and land use impacts as related to the environs of the subject property?
Yes.
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 Proposed conditional use located in an area that will be adequately served by and will not impose an undue burden on any of the improvements, facilities, utilities, or services provided by public agencies serving the subject property.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Do the potential public benefits of the proposed conditional use outweigh potential adverse impacts of the proposed conditional use after taking into consideration the applicant's proposal and any requirements recommended by the applicant to ameliorate such impacts?
Yes.
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 On that note, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the conditional use as presented.
Motion by
Second.
Second by Deason. On the question, I have one quick question. Just, I was thinking about this as I read through this. Does this meet everything in regards to height?
Aaron handled most of the review on this.
Yeah, I
but
believe this structure at a peak is 13 feet. It's in that building plan there. Okay.
It's not allowed to be taller than the principal structure, correct?
Well, it'll be the principal structure of the agricultural use, and being an ag building, the only performance standard that it has to meet is setbacks applicable to a principal structure on the R2 lot. That's because it's an ag use building, so there's not a whole lot of restrictions that local government can do at the state level because it's an ag use. But putting that aside, I think to a peak, it was like 15 feet or 13 feet in the peak. 13
Yeah,
feet.
it doesn't fall under the traditional accessory structure performance standards,
Okay.
which would be 15 feet for an accessory structure. But that's why it's under the ag use.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you very much. Item number 6, project number 2024-0013. Keith Walkowski, Riverside Land Company, on behalf of property owner Christopher Barnett, requesting a rezone from RR2 Rural Residential 2-acre zoning district to AR Agriculture and Residential Zoning District to allow for the reconfiguration of 2 parcels addressed as 5802 and 5810 Weston Avenue. I'll open the public hearing. Presentation by applicant and or staff.
So, yeah, Christopher Barnett owns both of these parcels. 5802, excuse me, is currently 22 acres and is zoned AR. And then the other parcel, 5810, is, I believe that's 11 acres as is. The plan here is to take 9 acres from 5802, or excuse me. Let me just double check that.
5810.
Yeah, take the 9 acres from 5810, rezone it to AR, and then combine it with the parcel to the left, which is 5802. So it'll meet the AR zoning district lot size dimensions, what's all said and done. And the remaining RR2 lot there will be just over 2 acres, and that number is after the village acquires more right of way there. So that will also meet the lot dimensions of the RR2 zoning district.
It'll
Okay.
actually end up being 2 acres exactly.
Oh, well, okay. I thought he had said that number was
They have, so
incorporated with, okay.
That's why it's 2.002.
Gotcha,
the
gotcha.
end result after they take what's needed for Weston Avenue will be 2 acres. So basically we're back zoning this, so you'll have to have a majority vote on it. We're going to AR with the lot that you're rezoning.
Okay,
So it's easier to look at the CSM to kind of see what's going on, so. We're basically rezoning a portion of that long strip and adding it to the larger lot.
On the left is AR right now, on the right is.
Yeah.
Mistreated parts getting added to the one on the left.
okay. All right, public comment period. Is there anybody online or in the audience that wishes to make a comment on this matter? Second time, anybody online or in the audience? Third time, any comments on project number 2024-0013? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Recommendation from staff,
Staff recommends approval.
discussion and recommendation to the Board of Trustees by the Plan Commission on the rezone request.
So if you scroll to, I don't know what page this is on. There is a determination form in the packet. There's a few
29.
questions. Let's see a page number in mine.
I think maybe.
Oh, yeah, 29.
What is the applicant here?
No,
I don't think Keith said.
I don't think anyone is here from
Yeah.
Riverside.
Are you Chris?
For Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear.
What's, I mean, I get it, you own both parcels. What's the reasoning for it?
Jim, give me.
Can you, sir, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Christopher Barnett, 58 and Weston Avenue, Weston 54466.
Thank you.
And my reasoning is because I inherited 5802, which is, that was 22 point some acres. And that's right next door to my land. See, that's what was my sister's, but she passed away and I inherited her place. So I want to sell my house with 2 acres and I live right next to her on 5810. And I want to keep my back 9 acres for myself, you know, just make it agricultural because I'll never be able to do anything with it really. Because I'm in wetland and stuff like that, you know, so it's not that I'm gonna be, you know, building anything on it. It's just I want to keep my own land, you know, in the back and just rezone it to AR like everybody on both sides of me. You know, it's got AR2 in that.
Understood. Thank you for
Sure.
the explanation. It didn't make a lot of sense of why 58.2 and 58.10 if you own them both, why we're playing the land game, but now it makes sense. You didn't always own them.
Yeah, right, because I need to sell my house, I can't, you know, I've been paying taxes on it a year, almost 2 years, right? I like to, you know, but I'm waiting for city sewer and water, that's coming through, so that's where I'm gonna put my house up for sale, because I'm gonna have hooked up on both places, because I'm gonna move to 5802, you know, and then sell my place as soon as I get the city sewer and water through.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Should we go through the determination?
Sure.
All right, item number 1, is the proposed rezoning consistent with the comprehensive plan as is required by Wisconsin statutes? Yes. Number 2, does the rezoning further the purpose and intent of this chapter?
Yes. Yes.
Number 3, does rezoning address any of the following that are not properly addressed on the official zoning map? A mistake was made in mapping on the official zoning map that is an area is or has developed in a manner and purpose different from that for which it is mapped. If this reason is cited, it must be demonstrated that the discussed inconsistency between actual land use and designated zoning is not intended, as the village may intend to stop an undesirable land use pattern from being perpetuated. B, factors have changed, such as the availability of new data, presence of new roads or other infrastructure, additional development, annexation, or other zoning changes, making the subject property more appropriate for a different zoning district. Or C, growth patterns or rates have changed, thereby creating the need for a rezone. 2B.
Yeah, I'd say 2.
Does not apply.
Do we have to say yes to these, Jennifer? If 3 doesn't apply, can we? Are we out of order if we,
I would argue that 3 would be 3 or C would be the
You
best.
should pick one, yes.
I mean, because 1 and 8, the first 2 don't really apply, but I think the 3 in the situation that this gentleman is describing would probably be the best fit.
Some of it's prompted from the sewer and water coming.
Sure.
I was gonna say, wouldn't number 2 be the best fit because of the additional development or sewer and water and new roads and infrastructure?
That's a good point too. We could say 2 and 3. All right. So 2 and 3.
Yes.
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 Mm-hmm.
Number 4, does the proposed zoning district maintain the desired consistency of land uses, land use intensities, and land use impacts as related to the environs of the subject property?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
To approve the rezone request and forward the recommendation on to the village board for the February 19th agenda.
Motion by Mumper,
second?
second by Pincinel. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It'll go before the village board on Monday. And then that will go before the village board on Monday.
I have,
You don't have to, but
oh,
is there a
The
reason?
item will go to the board
I
on,
didn't hear you.
the item goes to the board on Monday for final approval.
Oh, okay.
So this is just a recommendation to them.
Okay.
Thank you, Valerie. Appreciate it.
Yours does not, because conditional uses end at plan commission.
All right, unfinished business. Item number 7, knowledge quarterly development agreements report.
Move to acknowledge?
Second?
Motion by Pincinel, second by Jordan. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. New business, item number 8, request by property owner Miranda Lescano, 9404 Anastasia Drive for a second driveway variance appeal before the Plan Commission.
You want,
Uh,
you want me to talk? I'm sorry, I haven't done one of these before. I did provide a packet to everybody so you can see that. I did.
Name and address, please.
I apologize, Miranda Lescano, 9404 Anastasia Drive in Weston.
Thank you. Go ahead and continue.
The house that we live in on Anastasia Drive, and the maps that were pulled up don't even show our neighbor's house that was built last fall. We were the only house on this road since 2006. We purchased this house 2 years ago. And had plans to build the driveway, had plans to build the garage. And we originally had planned to build it, we own both lots, both with our house and then all the way down to the end of the cul-de-sac. We own all that property, 20 acres down to the end of the road. So when you're looking at the map on the left-hand side, we own all that property. We had first considered to build a garage down in that lower lot, the bigger lot, but there's no house there. And we were told we couldn't build a garage there because there's not a house. And there is an entry down there at that cul-de-sac. So we went back and looked at our property again, and the previous owners had an access point that they had cut out to be able to get their lawnmower and their tractors. It's Reedy Builders, so they always had random big equipment that was going in and out that they were using at different job sites, and they had a shed there that showed up on the map at first as well, which we took out. So that's where we built the garage, where we had approval to build it. It's the process of being approved, finishing electrical right now. And we built the garage so we can get our boat out of our garage attached to our house and be able to park our vehicles inside our house. There's no other driveways from our house down to the end of the cul-de-sac on either side. It's a dead-end road. The only traffic that goes down to the end would be ours going to our lot, or Reedy Builders, who is our neighbor, going down there. They have a burn pile down there. Other than that, there is no other traffic on our road. There's a house being built on the other side, closer to Shorey Avenue. And that picture there is the driveway that we built. The only difference that we did to that is we put gravel in the end so we could get the cement truck back and the wood and all of the materials back for our builders to build that garage. Otherwise, the access itself was there. We didn't cut down any trees or do anything to clear it out. It was already cleared out. We're not able to run it off of our driveway from our home, which I did include a picture of our driveway at our house. The land is really, really unlevel. And there'd be several large trees we would have to cut down in order to even build off of our driveway to come in from the side, let alone the fact that I don't believe we'd be able to back a trailer or anything else up in there safely without having to bring in lots of fill and obviously cutting down trees to get there. So that's why we're asking for the variance to be able to continue. We've been using the however you want to call it, the access point. Since we moved in, we're just asking to be able to fill the end with some gravel so we can back it in, and a culvert, of course, a plastic culvert. So we can back our things in there without damaging vehicles. There's a third access road on our third access point on the same road on our property that we don't use. That's been there since we moved in as well. I don't believe it would cause any traffic concerns. This is a unique thing to this property in the area because when we bought it, the realtors had a hard time and the appraisers had a hard time even finding a comparable that's in that same zoning, that has that much land that's attached to it. So we asked the board or the commission to approve our request for a driveway so that we have a safe way to get in and out of our driveway to store our materials, keep our yard clean, keep our driveway clean. And I believe that's about the summary of it. And I did go through the code and answered each element in the code the best of my ability. So you guys saw that in the letter that I submitted with the packet.
Okay. Thank you. Staff have anything they'd like to?
I mean, we've included all of our communication to the Lescanos back and forth regarding the accessory structure project, which started out last April or May. Travis handled most of the review with it. It was one of the first projects that he was working on. Miranda and Travis know each other through sports. So he was running point on this one as one of his first projects. So the original application was denied back, I believe in May or June, I should say. We found the driveway like this when we did our first rough-in inspection last month. So typically in a case like this, we would ask for a temporary access point in order for equipment to get back in there. That's something that Michael would review. That way, in the event that we've got a flood or something, it's not blocking up the ditch line. As you can see in the pictures, there's no culvert under the gravel. So that's typically the process is we want to see a temporary access permit, and we issue an actual permit for that. We've got one up here for Green Hex property off of Eau Claire Avenue. So that's essentially where we're at.
Why would you deny the original request, Roman?
Well, I guess I was asked about the access point, and at the time, this was the site plan that was provided. So I know everything's not necessarily to scale, but you know, generally speaking, it looked like if you drew a straight line here, you'd end up with driveways that were, you know, within 10 feet of each other. So at that point, we would generally say, our code says you get one point, or you need to have them spaced as far apart as possible on a lot. So that's why it was denied. If now with the new driveway being 158 feet apart, I guess I probably wouldn't have said no to the second driveway.
Michael, can you scroll down one
Yeah.
more page?
And I apologize for that. This is the first time we've ever built anything having to use the village and the code, so I was glad Travis was on the project because I really had no idea what I was doing. The first
This one?
The first request we put in was for the wrong kind of building, and he helped us get that fixed and get the right building and things of that nature out there. And it is, I measured 157 feet between the driveways.
So this is using Miranda's measurements that she provided in the agenda item request. This is where the actual driveway is located at. It is significantly farther than what was depicted on the first site plan. And then typically we'd try and address this issue at a previous inspection, but our inspection last month was the first inspection on site, so we haven't really had a chance to do anything else with this project as far as getting a different driveway in. I did, due to the conditions on the site with the building and the site plan and the driveway, I issued a stop work order for the project to make sure that this issue got resolved appropriately. So,
Yeah, I certainly respect the need to follow the correct process and procedure. And, but seeing at the point that we are right now with what she's proposing, are you prepared to approve it? I mean, from your perspective?
as far as the driveway is concerned, technically it's Michael's thumbs up is what's required in that.
Okay.
For chapter 71. I mean, it's,
You need some way of alleviating the water issue, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it would require a culvert underneath it just for drainage consistency.
And we do have one there laying in the
Yeah.
ditch next to it,
Yeah.
just have to dig it out, and put it in.
Yeah.
I've got a question. So the first time that you were out there was January, correct? And I see we have two site plans here. We have one showing the garage essentially orientated with the house, much closer with the driveway coming in closer. How did we get to a point where it got built in the location that it wasn't originally intended to be in? And when was this permit filed, I guess would be my next question to that.
You can blame me for that. When I drew the picture, my contractor didn't pull the permit. I drew a picture with the measurements estimated before we even dug. So once it was dug and flattened and cement, the measurements were different from what I had put in. Not significantly different, it's still in the same general area we had planned to build it the whole time. So when Roman told me I had to do a new site plan, I measured it again and put it down on paper again and turned it back in.
Did you have the site surveyed, or how did you locate the building on the parcel?
The pins I knew because when we bought that larger lot, we bought that last January and we had surveyed it for us, so the pins are all out there yet.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that question. Not the footprint of the lot. How did you place the four corner stakes of the building? How did you place that building on that ground? The concrete doesn't just show up, right? You gotta form it up, you gotta put it
Right.
wherever. So how did I build that 30 by 32, or I don't remember the size of it?
Sure.
How did I find those four corners of the building? How did you find that, or how did your contractor find that?
Well, our contractor did it, we found it, we tried to find the place, we didn't want it right in our backyard because we don't have that big of a backyard and it's not flat, our backyard is sloped. That area was flat. It had the least amount of trees that had to come down in that flat area. We had no other buildings around it, but we wanted it far enough away from the house. My husband likes to do woodworking and stuff out in the garage. It's far enough away from the house where we don't hear the noise, but definitely close enough that we can get the trailer, we can get the four-wheelers, and we can park everything in there.
So you located the,
Yes, I mean, we went up there, we found it, we had Reedy Builders come in and dig it out for us. And then we had our cement guy come in and lay it down.
and you said you pulled the permits, right?
Yes,
And on the permit, it says there's 4 inspections required. Did you?
I talked to Travis
Can
about
you pull a
that.
copy of that up, please, Jennifer? I think it does
Yes.
in the stuff that you, with the
Michael.
permit.
Has it?
I've been less than impressed with our contractor because he has not helped me on the way through this. I had the cement done and I didn't know or didn't realize, which is my fault, to have Travis come out after the cement was poured. Then, once the walls and everything got up, it kind of just sat on hold because we were waiting for trusses. I think we waited for trusses for almost 2 months. And just waited and waited and waited. And then Travis contacted me, I don't know, what was that, January? Beginning of January?
Well, so the timeline, if I may establish the timeline, please. The garage permit was issued in July on the 28th.
The original one with it in line with the house,
The
correct?
garage, yes, the
Yeah,
approved
okay.
garage permit. October 3rd, we were in the neighborhood because Marathon County had approved a septic system for the new build across the street. I hadn't heard anything from Chris about the project, so we were down there to see what the condition of the project was, if he had started or if he was just putting his ducks in a row with the project. And that's when we saw the garage walls erected. Travis contacted Miranda about it at that point in time. So we had a 2-month window where we were unaware of the conditions down there. And but going back and forth, Travis and Miranda trying to flesh out details. We didn't get on site until the 22nd of January, is I believe when we were down there.
And I believe everything that they requested has been fixed now, if I understand correctly from everybody.
The issues with the failed inspection, yes.
Our electrical, Craig Sherwinski has got, I don't know, about 3/4 of the way done, so we'll be able to have that inspected soon once the rest of it's put in.
So can you pull a copy of the permit up, please?
It should be in the,
Some of
Looking
that
for
stuff
the-
that you
it's
would-
gonna
The
be
email?
in the large
Yes,
document,
yeah, that would
the
be
PDF that I emailed.
Michael, you have to go to your emails.
And I understand that I was supposed to have it inspected when the cement was poured, and if there's a fine issued for that, that it is what it is. I can't go back on that one.
What part of this are you looking for again?
There's an actual copy of the building permit. I
Yep,
think
I
it's almost at
included
the
it in-
end.
There
Not at all at the end, I'm sorry. And then I think it has the applicant's signature on there, probably DocuSigned, right?
Yeah.
So right below your signature, it specifically states required inspections, pre-pour slab, rough-in, energy, final. And there were no inspections done until our inspections team came by and saw that there was activity on the site and the building was already up. So
The building wasn't up yet when they came through and contacted me,
The walls,
or when you came in October, the walls.
The walls were erected.
The walls only, the trusses were not up yet.
So how do we get the walls up without a pre-pour slab inspection?
Like I said, I'm not a construction person. I wasn't aware of that, and when I talked to Travis, I said, whatever you guys need to do or need me to fix, let me know. So obviously I wasn't gonna ask my contractor to take the walls down. I wish you would have told me, so I understood.
Well, to
I
that point.
understand the words up there, but I'm not a construction one.
I understand that, but the whole reason for this, and I believe Roman was physically on site on another project. They had foundation walls formed, and they were several feet away from where they should have been. And what happened, Roman?
we had to have them relocate part of the house.
Before we set it in stone and poured it in concrete, we peeled the forms down and put them where they were supposed to be on the print. Because they're there for a reason. It's permitted to build XYZ in this location. I just see this as blatantly going out of line and doing what we wanna do. It's like if you had to have temporary access to get concrete in there, I get that, respect that, understand that completely. But when we call Michael and say, hey, look, we gotta get a concrete truck in here, how do we do this? Okay, well, you need a 10-inch culvert and 2 truckloads of gravel, and I'll get back your thing in there, and maybe we can't give you a permanent driveway access, but why are we 8 months later, 9 months later, and now it's, well, the building's already built, I'll just pay the fine. It doesn't seem like a hardship to me, other than one that was created by
Well, I can tell you,
yourself.
I've never built a building. I've never even moved into a nice house except for this one I just moved into 2 years ago. I've never had to get a permit for anything. I've never had to do any of this before. And I didn't even know a contractor generally helps you do this sort of thing, because our contractor didn't. In fact, he didn't help me with much of anything. So I had no way of knowing, aside from looking at this, exactly the different things. I drew the picture, submitted it the way I saw it to be, and that's what I submitted. When they told me, hey, I need to remeasure this, I went out and remeasured it and sent a new picture. There was no means to deceive anybody. I mean, it would be rather foolish considering it wouldn't be hard to go out and see I didn't do it right.
Has all of the non-construction related materials been removed from the structure?
You mean the stuff outside, or what do you mean?
No, I mean, there's like ATVs and boats or tarps or whatever wasn't related to building. It was in the building inspector's report when they were there in January.
The four-wheelers, I don't speak in were parked outside. I think the four-wheelers are in there, but that's in the tools from them doing the electrical and things like that. Our boat is still in our garage. All of his tools, his woodworking stuff are still in the garage, our garage attached to the house. But his stuff from working on the electrical and things are out there that they've been working with. And 2 four-wheelers.
Miranda, I mean, I understand what you're saying too about being the only house, you know, on that road at this point in time, but part of our role as a plan commission and the reason that we ask to see this stuff before it gets built is because we have to think not about what's there now, but what's gonna be there 30, 40 years
I
from now.
completely understand.
I mean, especially with the reconstruction of Weston Ave, there's gonna be a lot of development there's development occurring on that road currently. So I guess I don't really know where I'm going with that thought, but I just wanted to provide some background as to why we have, you know, zoning and ordinances in place to help make sure that things are being done correctly. And not only that, but part of the reason that they want to have the pre-inspections is to make sure that everything's being done correctly and safe. The last thing that you want to do is have your electrician put some wires in that aren't done correctly. It gets covered up, and then 2 months later, Safer Fire's out there putting a fire out, you know?
And we're not done with the electrical yet, so they haven't been able to inspect it yet, 'cause it's not done. But that's the main reason why we bought that whole side of the road. So we could just keep it woods. That's why we bought it. That was the main reason why we bought it. So we have a place for my kids to go ride the four-wheelers out in the woods, to hunt, all those sort of things.
Sure.
So as far as the development on the right side of the road, I can't imagine there being any, being that I own the property.
How about the big pile of stone and brick that's probably 50 feet north of the unlawful driveway that was created?
Oh, that we got just to put rock down in our flower beds. We moved about half of it out in the fall, the rest of it out this spring. That we had dropped off just to put in our flower beds. It's not brick, it's river stone.
I have photos of it. There's rock and brick.
There shouldn't be rock and brick.
There was, are you referring to some of the, I think there was some construction or debris from the area, the old yard shed?
I mean, there's a couple red bricks that was from our basketball, we pulling our basketball down. That's what you're referring to. But otherwise, nothing there. We didn't put anything there.
So I was out and visited the site here last week so I could get a better feel of what's going on. Yeah, there's, either way, there's brick and rock. My concern is you've got you've got a stormwater management plan, right? And that's not even your property that you dump the stuff on. You dump the gravel in there in the public right of way, and you dumped
The
Very
rocks
close
can
to
be
that
moved out
side.
tomorrow for that matter, those are getting moved out regardless, we didn't put them there to block anything, we put them there to put in our flower beds, which half is done on the side of the house there, the other half on the front.
There was a driveway there. before.
Well,
There was a driveway,
There was,
it was logging.
like a logging.
it was, this-
The base, the road base I drove out there as well. The road base that's in the ditch looks
Fresh.
relatively fresh to me. But,
It was definitely placed in.
so, I mean, I don't know if there was a clearing there, whether you wanna say it was a drive, I mean,
But yeah,
probably just,
well, the ditch was still there.
yeah, for sure.
go ahead, Roy.
So my question is to Michael, this is prepared as part of this exhibit D, and on there it says section 71.2.03 variance. And in there it says, if there's a practical difficulty or particular hardship in carrying out the provisions of this chapter, the applicant may obtain a variance through application. A variance shall require approval of both the zoning administrator. My question is, who is that?
That's
me.
Jen.
Jennifer, okay, and the Director of Public Works, which I know who that is, that's you. I don't see anything, and may only be granted when the applicant says, and it goes on to say, but it doesn't ask for our body to approve it.
We're here
You're the
to,
appeal. We denied it,
You
so,
deny it, okay, now I'm
yeah,
clear.
so
All right.
Michael denied.
Are you still denying it?
I guess
Or was the denial predicated upon a different set of facts than
The
what is
denial was
currently
a
now in
different
front of
fact.
us?
the denial was based on the original site plan.
See, then I have a problem with us deciding this issue. Cause I don't feel it's our place to, it sounds to me like you denied based on a set of facts and probably did so appropriately. And then the appeal would come to us, but that's not what happened. You denied it based on a set of facts, and it sounds like the facts changed, and now you're kind of going, now, okay, I can see your point. But if that's the case and you're going to approve it, then I don't feel maybe it's supposed to be in front of us. Am I wrong?
I agree with you.
Yeah,
but that's what happened, it's already been there. I don't know.
Did Michael get an opportunity to approve the second location that they've asked for?
Yeah, because I looked at the requirements and said like, the additional access would not be detrimental to public health and safety. And so my first question would be back to staff, well, what's your opinion? Because you're much more qualified than we are. I feel to make those.
Generally, we get these on small lot, somebody within a neighborhood. And all of a sudden they build a garage and they want another driveway access point, and it's, there's generally, how do I want to put it?
There's not enough room for them, Michael. You got driveways everywhere then, and that's a safety issue.
On this with them, with it as being the rural zoning, it's a large lot. And it being, now 158 feet versus 10 feet away is what the original site plan depicted. I guess I wouldn't have had a hardship on it. However, you guys are, at the end of the day, the plan commission, so I wasn't sure if part of this had to do too with the garage being in a different location than what was there.
It was a site plan issue as well.
Yeah,
The
so,
orientation changed and the,
I think at this point, I mean, I think all of us have a fairly good understanding of how we got to this point. So I think the question would be, how do we move forward from here? I mean, I don't think anybody at this table wants to tell you that you gotta tear it down and move it. Unless there's some sort of safety issue that you guys see on your end that needs to be corrected.
I have nothing that needs to be corrected as far as the structure goes. I mean, we make site plan adjustments, on a regular basis. So this is actually the first case where since I've been here in 8 years, where we've actually had to bring a driveway to the body to your point, Roy. So this is a particular case where we denied it and one went in anyways. And I don't know if that's happened on a project like this since I've started here, so.
And like I said, I'm willing to, if you give me a name to call, I'm willing to call whoever you need me to call to dig it out, culvert in or whatever you guys need for stormwater. That's not an issue. I have no issue doing that whatsoever.
yeah, I mean, whoever did your foundation excavation, you know, if that was Reedy or somebody else, and they'd be able to, you know, excavate out the gravel at the end and get the culvert put in there.
I'm just gonna give my 2 cents worth, and maybe it's worth something, maybe it's not, but I understand where she's coming from first. She doesn't understand the codes or this or that, or if it changes. But we understand it very well. That's what we have to deal with. So the normal person that has to pull a permit or wants to add a garage on doesn't understand the significance of all these changes like we do and like we have to follow or like we're trying to enforce, which but ultimately you did get a denied on it and there still is a driveway there. I think that's where the heartburn comes in, is you did something beyond what you were told you shouldn't do. Whether it got relocated or not, you still have a driveway, they're accessing it, and you were told no driveway. I think that's where the staff and the planning commission has a heartburn, and then the inspections weren't followed either. So that's like, they feel like you're rebutting everything that we've asked to do or that they've asked to do. So that's where I feel we're having a struggle here. And I agree with Roy. I don't know that it's our position to be even doing this, but I feel staff is probably frustrated with what's happened here and wants to bring it to planning commission. That's my opinion. Because I don't think Michael feels that this is a problem anymore, but the way it went down, there was a problem.
So there's no active driveway permit for it. So the way that the materials you got, we got when she filed the variance for it. So that's what some of the problem is too, is it all is coming in after the fact, like Gary said.
Well, wasn't it
So there
somewhere
was
in that
no act-
correspondence, wasn't there something that was said, and I almost guarantee I read this in that 78 pages that you sent over.
When we denied it first, back in
That said,
July.
don't worry about it, we're going a different direction, we're not doing
Yeah,
it.
I got the email that said, cause I sent her the information to come before you guys, and the email that I got was, we're going in a different direction, we're not pursuing
So
this.
was that different direction, we're just gonna do it anyways?
No, that wasn't the different direction.
So what was the
The
direction?
direction was we were gonna get all the stuff back there. It wasn't intended to be a permanent driveway. That's the thing that's in there, just the gravel at the end. The rest of it was already there. We had to put gravel in to get the machines back. That's what it was. I was hoping my husband would be able to just drive down through the ditch to park his boat. But from looking at it, he just couldn't do it. So that's why I had to come back and say, we're gonna have to have the driveway because he's not gonna be able to safely back up in there. Without hurting something, some kind of mechanics or the boat or the engine or something.
But Miranda, if I can ask the quick question, is did you ask that, or did Roman have to bring this all up?
What's that?
Did you ask for this permit for the driveway that needed to be done?
I asked for the permit way back when we first started looking at doing the garage. And then we decided, hey, we'll just try to back it up in there. And then when we realized we couldn't, and then Roman came and they did their inspection with this note and said, well, this has to come out, but we were done driving the big machinery back there, so that was fine. My husband and I discussed it and decided we need to apply for the permit because we realized we can't do it without having that driveway on the end.
But do you understand how this looks to everybody?
I understand how it looks completely, and there's no malintention whatsoever. I mean, I can't hide a driveway from somebody driving by my house. You know, you can't hide something like that.
Understood. I'm just saying that it appears that, and I understand where you're at, and I understand where the staff is at, and I feel bad that we're in this situation. And you probably had no malintentions to do it. You just did what you thought was right, and you followed your contractors. And now we're in a position, and now you needed to get back in there. They need to get in there, whatever it may be. But now you understand that, oh boy, we are not going to be able to get back there. We do need a driveway. But I think where staff is frustrated is there was a no, and we're going a different direction. And then they see something going on, and then they see everything that they said no not to do, and it's there. So that's where the big struggle is. And I think we have to draw the line like a policeman, right? Do we give a citation? Do we not give a citation? Geez, did they do this on purpose? Did they do this intentionally just to feel that they can get whatever they wanted to do? You know, I don't think anybody is here to be a bad person. We're just trying to figure out how do we do this. And staff, I don't blame staff. They're asking us to make the decision because they don't want to. And I don't mean to say that like that, but they feel like we need some help with this one.
So I almost feel like we should remand this back to the staff. And my personal opinion in thinking about this is staff was tasked with making the first decision. They rejected it. Now we're being asked to overrule their rejection. Not because the facts change, but if the facts change, then don't you go back to the original, people that were supposed to decide it and say, hey, the facts have changed. Now what is your, decision?
We'd either approve or deny.
Approve or deny, and
So I
then.
don't think we can approve it the way that it is.
I don't like to approve and overrule staff. I just feel like staff is the most, we're just talking here, like from a safety aspect, where's the driveway in relation to where the road turns and is that appropriate? I rely on staff for that type, that's what they're there for, right? And I'm overruling what they rejected. I don't know. I don't feel good about that. Just my personal opinion.
Well, they rejected it initially.
Yep.
And then everything changed. And now it's in front of us with everything changed.
Right, but shouldn't staff have the option
She
to?
should probably apply for another driveway permit.
That's what I was going to ask if I can reapply.
I think that would probably be the best route right now, and then put that in your hands. I mean, unless you guys have something else you need from us.
Travis is very knowledgeable of what he's doing, and he's got a great history with construction. He can help you or walk you through to make sure you're getting the rest of your inspections done. And then if staff knows that, hey, I didn't do this intentionally, I'll work through this. I think if there's other things missed during it, I think then it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. And I think we can get past that, but I think it's a great idea if you go back to staff and apply for a driveway permit again. It's moved considerably, and it don't sound like Michael's got an issue with it. Part of what I will say is, and I know this, and I've owned properties and I've had property where something changes, right? You will not always own this property. And we do, and I appreciate Steve bringing that up. What we try to do is for safety and look for future. Somebody else will have this, and then you can't, that's always my intention too. I want to keep that property. I want my kids to be able to drive their four-wheelers out. And then all of a sudden 10 years go by and something happens or something changes, and then you sell the property, and then the next person has to deal with it. Or they come back to us asking us, what in the heck is this here for? It's not part of the code. Why did you allow that? Then it comes back to us, and when we got to try to figure out why we allowed something over and above what we normally do. So just as an FYI for you, why we are feeling the way and why we look at what we look at as well.
Thank you.
So anybody want to make a motion?
Yes, I will make a motion to deny the variance request for a second driveway at 9404
Second.
So motion by Pincinel, second by Deason on the question.
I got a question on that. So we're denying that. Are we just having them send back to staff so the variance would be denied and they would go back to staff and ask for a new driveway permit?
I think your intent is to deny it, and she needs to submit a new permit.
Yeah, the intent is deny it as it's presented.
And that's what I want her to have a clear understanding of, no different than myself. Is that the intent?
That is the intent.
Okay.
Of maybe a better dialogue between staff and the applicant, because it looks like we missed a bunch of inspections. It shows that there's PEX in the floor, but there's no HVAC permit. So I assume the PEX isn't there for PEX.
I don't know what that is.
Plastic piping in the concrete.
We can put it in.
It's in your plan. So again, you didn't build it as you planned it.
Okay. I was gonna say, we don't have it.
At least you're consistent with not doing what you said you were gonna do.
Yeah, we don't have that either, but I will get that resubmitted tonight when I get back, and I guess, who do I need to talk to if I have questions, if I'm afraid I'm not doing it right?
That'll be me.
Talk to your building inspectors here.
Talk to you guys?
Yep, your inspections team.
And then you can just reapply for the driveway permit and go through the way it was originally, its intent of the statute was
Yep.
originally.
Dan's got a question.
Hang on just a second, Dan. And on that point too, I wouldn't do anything with your culvert or anything until you get that application in and work with them to figure out what needs to happen there. Is it appropriate to let Dan speak right now?
Sure.
I just want to make a comment. Make sure that in your code, it doesn't say that if variance is denied, you can't reapply for a year. Sometimes there's some of that stuff hidden in language, so I just want to
Good point.
I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that.
I'm not aware of anything in that, but this variance is kind of a little different in chapter 71. So than some of the other variances that I've seen, so,
Yeah, there isn't anything like that in 71.
no.
Yeah, just wanted.
When I was digging
In
through
the
it, I couldn't-
zoning stuff,
good
yes,
point.
there is.
Very good point.
Very good point, Dan. Thank you.
Because when it comes back through, it's still not gonna meet the code of 71. So just so everybody's aware, because it's a second driveway, it's still not gonna meet the code. She's gonna have to, we're gonna have to deny the initial permit, and she's gonna have to, it's all paperwork, right? But she's gonna have to ask us for staff for a variance. And then we can grant, because it doesn't meet the code.
There's a sign off between the
What she
two.
already has written out
Yeah.
why yes.
But that doesn't need to come back here.
No.
It doesn't need to come back here. It's gonna be a staff approved variance. So, but I'm just so everybody's clear on the process that
So just do the application.
do the application and we'll walk
Okay.
through it.
All right, thank you.
All right, so motion by Pincinel, second by Deason. On the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you, Miranda.
Consideration
Mhm. Not a
and
problem.
your assistance.
Item number 9, preliminary plat review for Arrowhead Estates First Edition. Dan, is that you?
Yeah, that's me. I can answer any questions you may have.
You want to make a quick presentation or anything like that?
Sure, if I can. Dan Higginbotham, 2625 Northwestern Avenue, Wausau. I know that this is something that is somewhat repetitive in that you've seen it. You saw it during Will's subdivision process a year and a half, 2 years ago. I mean, in kind of a similar format, and you also saw it last meeting. There's been no changes since last meeting. We have already submitted to the state for some preliminary review, and I've heard no comments from the state end of it at this point yet. Seems pretty straightforward to me. The engineering plans are now processed. Your staff has the engineering plans, and it's a pretty simple drainage pattern where it's simply drained to the ditches, and the ditches are going to be used for infiltration, and then there will be stormwater easements between lots 27, 28, and then 30 and 31. So it's just overland flow, so no stormwater detention ponds or anything like that. I believe that Derek is one of the owners. I believe that he's already contacted the public service and for their comments and their information.
We have a quote and then secured the property a week and a half ago, so I'm waiting back up.
So yeah, I believe everything's in order. The land is flat, sandy. Everything should be good.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
What is staff's comments on sidewalks? It's listed in year under 4.
They're just not showing any, so that's up to the plan commission. I mean, it is a rural, there's none through estates to the east. These are larger lots, but
Yes, sidewalks aren't required on these large lot subdivisions, so
By ordinance.
ordinance.
Okay. What's that conversation?
Have you finalized that agreement, Michael, between Ringo with street maintenance? and-
We haven't, I guess I can, I know last time we talked to them about it. They were open to it, they just. I mean, we would have had it in place, shared with them what we do with the town of Weston as far as, these are billing rates, we update them every year based on the DOT. Updating their equipment rates, so. They really did. They actually wanted us to do more in Ringgold than, so.
It's the current turnaround anyways for you guys, right? If you're-
Yeah, we do turn around at Arrowhead Estates, so where we plow Schofield Ave, Ringgold Ave, the entrance of that subdivision, so we kind of add that to the route, so.
Okay, thank you. Were you okay with the park impact fee? Dedication?
That's for each building permit, so.
Okay.
It'll be
We're
that
really in
applicant.
favor of no.
Most of the developers don't mind that because they don't have to put it up as a building permit.
Anybody else have any other questions? Entertain a motion.
Move to recommend the preliminary plat for Arrowhead Estates First Edition to the Board of Trustees with conditions 1, 2, and 3 as listed.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mumper, second by Gurnt. On the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it, guys.
Item number 10, proposed future land use map changes.
All right, so this is new. Nate finally got the preliminary draft of the future land use map completed. As you will notice, the chart is changing a little bit, like I said before, and in the RFC. This is basically gonna assist us going forward on some of the, especially some of those areas where we're not exactly sure what is gonna happen with them, like the area around Amazon. Some of those areas around like the old municipal center where it could go either industrial or commercial. That's gonna allow the plan commission and the board to make those decisions based off the projects that come, instead of us having to go through and try to really look into that crystal ball and determine what they are. So this also gives us a little bit more leeway with some of the residential aspects of it, allowing for some more dense in different areas. So it's just a little bit different. These also incorporate the corridor plans that you guys have done recently. So that's really the main changes. I just kind of wanted to bring it to you to kind of get it in front of you first. The document will be coming, so I guess over the next month or so. They're putting in the corp right now, so as soon as I get that, we can bring that document in front of you and start going through that. But this is the initial, would be the initial map, so if anybody's seeing anything glaring that they're thinking that it's wrong, you know, this just gives you some time to look at it. And I can print some out too and get them for you if that's easier.
This Arrowhead is correct, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then these are different where it says rural density residential. Is that because it incorporates R2 and R5?
The rural density, yeah. So basically.
Like this is different than our zoning map because this is saying it could be this or that,
Yeah,
right?
so this chart is very similar to the chart that's in our current one. And it tells you which zoning districts that those kind of go in, but it's allowing for them to include a little bit more, especially when it comes to some of those multifamily. It was pretty strict. It was just like, basically, this is gonna be single family, that kind of thing. With some of the changes in the housing laws that are coming through, this just gives us a little bit more flexibility because it does take a lot of time to go and adjust the map. So it's gonna kind of give you the ability to look at the projects that are coming in. The one big thing too is we had a lot of the area out in the town. It was just listed as planned neighborhoods. So that was strictly like subdivisions, and that's not necessarily what has been happening out there in some spots. So this just gives us a little, like I said, more leeway going forward in some of those areas that we're really not sure how they're gonna develop either.
Okay. There's no action needed on
No,
this.
this is just kind of the first glance at it. We got the map done. There'll be a future transportation map that's also gonna come in there. You guys haven't necessarily seen the corp yet. Those of you on the board have, that's been approved, that's being incorporated in there. So the big things will be housing, land use, transportation, and the park and rec. Elements of the comprehensive plan that are really getting updated.
Anybody have any comments? Where are we kind of sitting with development in the old Camp Phillips Center? I know, like, as I look at this map and it looks like the area where that inlet is right now off of Camp Phillips Road is listed as an environmental corridor. Can we even use that?
For,
The one that's just got some falling apart road closed signs.
Yeah,
sitting
that-
there.
the DNR more or less has said for access, they would permit a road
Through wetlands.
through there, or, to get, try to get out of it as soon as you can, but not, yeah, it is an established entry point. It's what the DOT has established. The rest of that has some access control restrictions, so.
Sure.
I guess that was a couple years ago when the DNR said they would allow that to be used, but I don't foresee that changing.
Okay.
But yeah, they probably want us to make the road as, disturb as many wetlands as possible, right? Like try to get in and then, okay, let's head north or south just to get to where the developable land is.
Sure. Yeah, I know I spoke with Jamie when you and I met. And one of the things I'd like to see is us take a little bit of a harder look at that area. There's a lot of traffic that moves through there, and with Weston Ave being done, I think it's time that we start kind of looking at that again, so. Just my 2 cents. I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks, but. Anybody else have anything else? No, I think we're good. Staff reports, items number 11 and 12.
Move to acknowledge 11 and 12.
Motion by Pincinel,
Second. You can take it.
motion by Pincinel, second by Hoffman. On the question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Item number 13, project updates.
It's just that ongoing list of things that are either being worked on or may potentially be coming. I believe the only really thing that I added was that Lockery project next to Caribou is kind of coming back through. It will go to the board on Monday, and then we anticipate if everything goes well there, then it'll come before you guys for approval of a project, so.
Did he buy the Robert Anton building? Is that where
He's
they're?
owned that, yeah,
Okay.
he's owned both of those, that house. So it would be on the house and the Robert Anton building.
Yep.
And then some of you might remember, he did that 40-foot strip about a
Mhm.
year ago. That's part of that project too.
I drove by there the other day and it looked like everything was vacant at this point.
He, I think, stopped renting the home and they asked for a demo, right?
They haven't asked for one yet.
They were
But-
asking about demo permits.
The guy who was living in the house, he's been cleaning up everything. And then there was an estate sale last weekend, I believe, or a week ago at Robert Anton. So they're in the process of liquidating everything and cleaning that up. Which is great, because that house was a dump. It was pretty bad.
Is there an opportunity for a controlled burn?
Unfortunately, I think it's too close to Caribou or Anton.
Marty? Yeah, right. You could use it for training though.
So it's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to do a burn on it, but they could use it for
Practice.
for breaching and yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Well, not every door is different or the same, Marty. This might have left-handed hinges or something.
The house that's going where Chick-fil-A is going now. That's pretty close to the roads too.
Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick as far as what's going on with the little guy's house next to Wiggly Field? Is there something going on with that? Has the board decided to try to purchase that or do something with that property? Have they reached out to Teddy's son there?
Talking about Pike's house, Gary.
Yes, sir.
We've been working, since last, what is it, summer? I think Aaron and Travis and Roman have been over there kind of talking to him and helping him, clean up the site. So that's kind of where we've been at right now.
Okay. Has anybody approached him on purchasing that or through the
Not-
TID or?
Through the village yet. We were instructed to clean him up.
Okay.
Everyone go to tidal wave? No more wall collapses?
They decided not to relocate the newly constructed wall. So that was good. They
Okay.
wanted to move
That
it back
helps.
2 feet after they had it finished. And then the new garage slab poured on the neighbor's house.
Oh,
We'll probably have a small party when that actually happens. It's done.
Yeah, so that was, it was really an odd conversation, but yeah, they literally corporate title wash wanted to relocate the entire retaining wall after it was completed. I told them they couldn't.
okay.
I mean, if they don't want.
Are we still looking at some ordinance changes on that safety? I know we talked about that.
We've
Well,
got
having you guys
yeah,
do some
Michael and I have
inspections.
to look at, well, and that'll come as part of the building, permit, looking at the building permit process, incorporating potentially a permit for walls and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can give you a little update on that. I'm gonna give the board an update next week, but we did meet with Evolve. They're getting us a quote right now for basically updating the program to the ones that, the current ones, so that we're not sure how much that's gonna be, but as part of that process, we can actually go through all of the building permits that are out there and see if we change anything on them. The new site looks very nice on phones. They've kind of got it set up to kind of change if you're looking on your tablet, things like that. They also have a function to where they will have like an app that they can use out in the field eventually. So they're really putting some work into it. Unfortunately, we don't get those for free anymore, the updates, but so we'll see kind of how that comes back, and that'll incorporate into the strategic plan, with the department looking at that function, the building permits. So it'll probably take us most of the year to do that, but hopefully by next year at this time, it'll be all right.
Okay.
But they thought May, is that what she said, the earliest that we could start working on it?
Yeah, well, I think it was even farther up than
June?
that. Yeah, I mean,
Thought it
they
was June.
weren't in any rush to
They
start
weren't
on.
gonna roll it out to us until then.
I mean, they could get us the quote, I think, by then, but it was, I mean, they were,
Well, I thought we were gonna start it in June is the earliest they could start it. She was gonna get me a quote like soon, I thought.
Okay. Intercity State Bank, are they doing a grand opening or anything?
I haven't heard anything yet.
I heard they're like way ahead of schedule.
Didn't
we
they ask
have
for
a
something?
final inspection there next Thursday, I believe is when it is.
I'm sure there will be, but I haven't seen anything.
They need to, yeah, and so their timing is they wanna
May
get in
not wanna do it right
the new
away.
building as soon as possible to get the old one torn down.
They're probably waiting until everything's done.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a real fast turnaround from moving from the old
Yeah,
building.
that's what one of the tellers told me the other day. They were essentially gonna shut the lights off in
Yeah.
that one building and open up in the new one the next day, so.
Roman, do they got the binder down on that one?
I haven't. There was no binder last fall, the last time I was on site, but
They're gonna have to wait till asphalt plants open up to do that. I don't, cause I don't think even FDIC allows you to be open with gravel in the parking lot.
yeah, so we'll definitely take a look at that and address that with them. I don't even know if they have the giant pile of dirt out of the way either.
That's for the That's for the backfilling of the other bank when we demo that.
All right. Anybody got anything else? Item number 14, announcements and committee commissioner remarks and staff referrals.
Move to acknowledge the report.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Good catch, Jim. So we have a motion to acknowledge
Second.
by Pincinel, second by Mumper on the question. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so carried. 14, announcements and committee commissioner remarks, and staff referrals. Dave Deason, do you have anything? Is he even online anymore?
Yes.
He's muted.
Oh.
I don't.
If he has anything, he'll turn his mic on, I guess. So Gary's got nothing. Gore, do you have anything? Trav?
I was unmuted.
Nope. Dave can talk now.
Dave, do you have anything you'd like to?
I was just wondering about the big lots, the old big lots lot. I saw them doing some, like, it looked like test borings on that last week.
Yeah, we had someone ask for information. They did like a zoning verification on it, but we don't have any plans or anything. It was basically an environmental company, so this is probably the third time somebody's done it in the last, they do it basically every year, so we'll see.
About as often as they cut the grass. About once a year.
They don't even cut the grass there.
Well, we cut the grass for them.
But yeah, so there is activity there, yes, but we haven't heard from anyone on it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, Dave.
I just want to thank the planning and inspection staff for, I think this is a perfect example, this Anastasia of how we're improving that relationship between applicants and staff, and how even though it doesn't fit in the box and we didn't follow the process and we knew what we were supposed to be doing and there was violations found, but he kept in contact with the applicant and he advises them on their options and how you move forward, right? Okay, well, you can't have a driveway and it was denied here, but you can appeal our denial by sending it to the planning commission. And even though, you know, they didn't deliberately said they would, you helped them get a different site plan and it wasn't realistic to have them move it or relocate it, but just working with it that way, I think that's excellent. My hats off to you on that. It also does maybe show, since we're in the process of improving our permit process, how there is room for improvement and how we could maybe make that easier so that we'll miss these things and I don't know how you could make it more clear than big red letters above where you sign, but maybe make them blue or something. I don't know. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, on that note, I'm not a builder either, but I took out a permit and followed the rules, so.
They called extra times,
I
actually.
did actually, I called a couple times.
You just want to make sure you don't make a mistake, right?
Exactly. But I don't have anything else, so. Next regular meeting date, Monday, March 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Gary Gurnt, second by Deason. On the question, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night, everyone.
7:26.
Thank you.